Today I was refletching some arrows and putting some nocks on some arrows, and I thought I'd go ahead and show you how I did that. And I do it a lot different now than what I did when I started, but I decided to go ahead and show you how I kind of progressed up through things to where I am now. When I started, I used just a regular arrow, regular nock, regular fletching, just standard arrow, standard fletching, and it worked pretty good. You could use a pinch type knocking system like this, just slide it in there like that. You can use your finger and your forefinger and your thumb to just kind of slide it back on the string. You just slide it in between your thumb and your forefinger like that and straight back. And it worked fairly well. And it'll work with any release or any lock. Thumb, Mediterranean, Slav, it doesn't matter. It worked pretty well. But then as I continued on and started going to competitions and things, I noticed that people were flaring their nocks like this. And I said, well, let me try that. So I did, and I liked it. And then I also lowered my fletching. And what that did was I was able to grab the arrow a lot better. I was using a cross draw style quiver and a Native American style quiver, but with the fletching all the way to the back of the arrow, either I had to grab over the fletching or just grab the end of the arrow, and it wasn't real stable. So I lowered my fletching so I wouldn't hit the fletching and flared the nock. Made a big difference, real big difference. I was able to get a good control of the arrow when I drew it. I was able to index the nock with my fingers. And again, you just nock it the same way. You can use the pinch or you can use the scoop type method, but I was using the pinch there or that funnel method. And also the nock goes real easily onto the string. It's not like that straight nock with those ears on it. It hits the string real good. And again, it works with thumb or the Slav or Mediterranean or a pinch. Now, to lower those feathers, you don't have to strip all your feathers off and reglue them and buy new fletching and reglue them. You don't have to do that. You can buy your arrows already like that if you have arrows that already have the standard fletch on it. All you have to do is just cut your fletching down. What I do is I measure 2 inches from the back of the arrow, right where the nock and arrow meet. And I'll go 2.5 inches actually. And that's perfect for my hand size. It'll vary from person to person. If you got smaller hands, you might want to not cut quite so much. If you got larger hands, you might want to cut some more. But I have fairly large hands. I'm 6'3", so my hands are fairly large. 2.5 inches works great for me. But you go ahead and you measure that first one and put a slit in it, just cut it, and then you cut the other two the exact same length. And you don't have to cut it square. I cut them square, but you can cut them at any angle. You can dress them up any kind of way you want. But after you cut them, you take the excess, you take your knife and you cut that excess off. Now be careful not to cut yourself when you're doing this, okay? Go ahead and cut the excess off. And then after you cut that excess off, you can take your knife and scrape that shaft clean. You can get all the extra glue and what's remaining of the fletching off just scrape it like that, and it'll get really, really clean like that. And it's real easy and quick. So there you go. You have it. You're ready to go. You can index it real well. Fletching's out of your way. So then, well, let's see. This is how I flare the nocks. You just take some needle nose pliers, get the very end of it, and flare them. Just bend them a little bit, and it'll stay in. It'll stay just like you put them. Works really well. Like I said, it'll work with any kind of lock. So then I noticed that people was getting speed nocks. These are the ones my wife uses, and you can look at her arrows. She doesn't cut the fletchings down or anything. Her hands are small enough that it doesn't bother her. She has enough room to grab it. I started to do this with my wood arrows and my bamboo arrows. And what I did was I just slit a 3/4 inch piece of bamboo, cut it 3/4 inches long, slit it in half, and I would glue it to each side of the shaft. And they did this in ancient days. This is they did that quite a bit. And you can index it a lot better. And you can use it for thumb, Slav, Mediterranean, pinch, any kind of lock you want to use on it works really well. And so I said, well, maybe I can try to do this with my carbon arrows. So I took the standard nock, I'd flare it, and then after I flared it, I would glue the 2 bamboo pieces on each side. And then I put this, this stuff is Power Flex. It's kind of like an ace bandage. You wrap it around there, and you can grip the hound out of it after that. But what I would do is I would cut those 3/4 inch pieces off, and I'd use that pipe cutter to get a good even cut. And then I'd get my knife and I would split it just as closely to center as I could. I try to do it just as perfectly as I can. I want them both to be the same size, but you just put your knife on it, take your little pliers or whatever, tap it, and man, it just splits real easy. The bamboo splits real easy. And of course, you want to get it all the same size. Both of them, you want to be the exact same size. You look at it real close. You can feel it in your fingers. Your fingers will be able to feel the difference in the size very easily. But what you do is you just sand down the bigger one and get it the same size. And then you just take it and glue it on the side of the shaft. Now, before you do that, you need to put a little bevel on the front of it. See that little bevel? That's all you need, is that little bevel. And that'll make everything just, make it pass by your bow and all that real nice. But after you do that and put your bevel on, take your glue, and you can use super glue, whatever you want. I got Fletch Tight right there. I just use it and have it handy. And I'll go ahead and glue it on. Now, when you glue it, you need to be kind of meticulous with it. Make sure you get it straight. Make sure you get it exactly on the side. And you don't want anything that's going to put any wobble in your arrow. You want to kind of pay attention to this, how you do this. Don't just slam them on there any kind of way. After you get that one side on there, you go ahead and, of course, just glue the other side on. Same way, making sure that it's straight. Now, double check everything, make sure everything's good. And after it's good and straight, you're satisfied with it, what I do is I take string and I will wrap that with string. Now, I don't use just regular sewing thread. This is upholstery thread. It's a lot stronger than regular sewing thread. And I'll just wrap it around there. And a whole bunch. I'll wrap the whole length of that little piece of bamboo all the way up to where the bottom of my channel is for my knock. Now, you can either half hitch it, just put a bunch of half hitches on the end, or what I do to finish it off, I'll make a little loop like this, and I'll take the end of the string and hang it down underneath my thumb. And then I'll take the other end of the loop and just wrap it over that string. So when I'm done with it, once I get to the top, I have the end of that loop sticking down through that string. And I just take the end of it, pull it tight, trim it off. And I normally go ahead and put some more glue on it right then to hold that string on there, and to make sure that bamboo is glued enough. And then you can take that ace bandage stuff, that Power Flex, wrap it around there, make a few wraps just to finish it off, or finish that part off. Not completely done with it yet. Make a few wraps, and it's amazing how much grip this stuff gives you. How much more arrow control you have when you put that on there. Now take a 3/4 inch file and I'll dress up the ends. That's a 3-corner file. And I'm just filing that V on my knock. And if you notice, I file a little bit, then I spin my arrow the other way, and I file a little bit, and I spin it around. I file it a little bit and spin it around. If I don't do this, I tend to get off. It makes a neater job if you do that. It's easy if you just go on one side to get more filed off of one edge than the other. So I spin it as I go. And then you dress it up, make sure you don't have any little splinters or burrs or anything sticking out. You don't want stuff that's going to grab your string. You don't want stuff that's going to stick you in the hand. It's nice and smooth. And there you go. You got an arrow that you can handle real well. Fleshing's out of the way. You can index the handle. You can index the arrow really well. You can feel exactly where your knock is. You can use that slide method, or you can use a scoop method, and it's good for any kind of lock that you want. Thumb, Slav, Mediterranean, pinch, any variation of pinch lock you want to use. It just works really, really well. I like this a lot. Now this part, you don't want to forget. You have to do this, okay? Well, I'm showing you a little bit more there. You can use the scoop, like I said, method, or that funnel method, and for any lock. Now this is the part coming up that you do not want to forget. You have to put something in front of those fletchings. If you don't put something to tie those fletchings down in the front, you will eventually, one of these days, I promise you, you'll get a fletching stuck in your hand. I use thread. I use the same upholstery thread. I just wrap it around the shaft of the arrow, and I go on up about 1/4 of an inch. Some people use tape. You can use electrical tape. A lot of people use electrical tape, but I use the upholstery thread. It seems to work better. But after you put that on, put a little glue on it just to hold it, and that's how I do it. I hope this helped you.